Welcome to the greatest movies about Gen X tournament challenge.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. And you see us as you want to see us. In the simplest terms, with the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain, and an athlete,
and a basket case, a princess,
And a criminal.
Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Ours is a story that can only be told across multiple podcasts and decades.
10! Where have you been for 10 years?
I freaked out. I joined the army. I work for the government. I went into business with myself. I'm a professional killer.
From 80s pop to grunge and writing to finally being an adult, we will debate the best movies about the best generation ever.
If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time? I didn't exhale.
Works for me.
The highs, the lows, and a whole lot of dead-end jobs will be explored.
Say a prayer for the youth of America.
I don't know. Drugs are out, sex is out, politics are out. Everything is on hold. I mean, we definitely need something new.
Everybody knows that the dice are loaded.
So join us all, GenXmixtape, GenXGrownUps, Society Owes Me a Gen X podcast, and Project Gen X, because no one else is looking out for us.
Not your fucking khakis.
Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, I'm
And without further ado, the greatest movie about Gen X begins now. Or whatever.
Joe, it's Rex Manning Day.
What, no applause?
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
All right, well, let's get this thing going. Welcome, everyone, into the, what did we call this thing again?
The greatest movie about Gen X of all time.
That's right. That's what it is, because we threw around so many names on this. I would like to thank everyone for coming in. Let me do a quick rundown of everyone that we have here. I am Alan Smith from Project Gen X podcast, along with
Barry!
And Barry is going to be representing us in this debate.
Yeah, I drew the short straw.
From the Grown Up Gen X podcast, we have... That's your cue, George.
Well, that would be my cue if that was my podcast. My
What did I
podcast
say?
is GenXGrownUp.
Oh, what did I say? I am so, man.
Drink your coffee already. For the record, the coffee has not kicked in.
No, it has not. I'm sorry. I said, organized chaos.
We are GenXGrownUp. Myself, John, and Mo. We have been doing our podcast for about 4 or 5 years at this point, something like that. We've got our YouTube channel, and everything's hunky-dory, and we are happy to be here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us. Also from, we have... who I affectionately call Other Alan. Maybe we'll call you Mixtape Alan, since you are from the GenXmixtape podcast. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your show, Alan.
All right. Well, I'm Alan Mostov, one half of Alan and Dave, which we have gotten a kick out of.
You guys need to go get a berry.
Obvious,
you need a berry, I'm telling you.
Yeah. We're both music aficionados. We create an imagined mixtape every episode, where we choose a theme, and then we go through. We decide on musical selections to fit that theme and sequence. We really do run through the entirety of a mixtape creation, curating a mixtape like we did back in the day. Sometimes we try and create a mixtape that tells a story arc. Sometimes it is songs that are grouped by key signature or by just common theme itself, but it always is it's a lot of fun. We debate our choices, we defend our choices, and then we also share a lot of trivia, background information about the artists that recorded the songs and the like. So it's a throwback. It's a lot of fun to relive those days. Mixtapes were hugely important to Dave and I, so we have a lot of fun doing it.
I think to all of us, honestly. Yeah, right. All right, and finally, we have our British sister from across the pond. Yes, there are going to be a lot of puns. Believe me, we're going to say a lot of stuff, and I will save my very not nice comments for Radiohead that I have said before. We would like to welcome Lily from Society Owes Me.
Hi, Lily.
Hi there. Hi, yes, I'm Lily, and I do Society Owes Me a Gen X podcast with my pod partner Hannah, who's sadly not here today. But we basically go A to X through movie soundtracks, grunge, rock, alt, pop, pretty much everything. We are currently doing the 90s, which is our little niche at the moment. But yep, that's what we're about.
Yes, go check out their podcast. Go check out all these podcasts. There will be links and everything, because we want to, as I have said to everyone here multiple times, as well as multiple other people from our generation, we have to stick together because nobody else is taking care of us. So, all right, guys and ladies, gentlemen, I am going to get this together.
I can be a guy.
There you go. Fine. There we go.
Lily, for today, you're one of the guys.
I don't mind being a lady for the podcast if it helps out.
Well, if you've listened to our podcast, don't even dare. If you've listened to our podcast enough, we all know that I have performed in drag a few times. So, and it's not pretty. It is not pretty. So
nothing about you is pretty. He ain't got the legs for it.
Not anymore. So anyway, all right. Well, let's jump right into this. I'm going to do a quick rundown of the brackets, the movies that we started with and where we wound up, and then we will start from there. All right, I'm going to start with we split these. We have 32 movies to start with, all movies about Gen X. That was kind of the criteria here. Was, if we were just doing a Gen X movie, we could have put 1,000 movies on here. Movies that came out during our lifetimes or our era, whatever you want to call it. But I tried to narrow it down to movies that were specifically about our generation. That's why some movies wound up on here and some didn't. And from there, Barry was nice enough to kind of assign.
Oh, sure. Blame me.
Oh, I am. Believe me, because it's one of those things that I know John, like when he looked at your bracket, George, he was like, I can't. He's like, you son of a bitch. I cannot believe that you're going to pit some of these movies against themselves.
We did have a little bit of fun trying to figure out which ones to boil it down to. There were some lively debates in our episode.
Oh, I know. Ours was the same way, where it was like, I cannot believe this, that basically I am going to have to kill someone, kill my darlings here, So I'm going to start off with I'm going to start off with the North. I'm going to start with the North bracket here, which was the GenXGrownUp. Did I get it right that time? It's
you did that time.
I got it that time. For whatever reason, I always want to flip those around. So, okay. In their bracket, we had Fast Times at Ridgemont High going up against Before Sunrise, Hackers up against Clueless, The River's Edge against Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, not Bogus Journey, Repo Man versus Boys in the Hood, down to Fast Times Ridgemont High against Clueless, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure against Boys in the Hood, which winds up with the two that we're going to be debating out of there today, which is Fast Times at Ridgemont High versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. All right, out of the Eastern bracket, because I've got these out which was actually ours here at Project Gen X, we had Empire Records versus Heathers. We had Scream versus SFW, Clerks versus Singles, High Fidelity versus Red Dawn. So in the first one, we had Empire Records advanced and SFW advanced, and then in the bottom part of the bracket, Clerks and High Fidelity advanced, which left us with Empire Records going up against Clerks. I am not looking forward to that one either.
Yeah, you're masochist.
None of these. So
and I don't
far.
get to debate on that one, so I have to sit here and watch it happen.
Out of the Western bracket, which was the GenX mixtape guys, we had Reality Bites going up against Slacker, PCU versus 16 Candles, Pump Up the Volume versus St. Elmo's Fire, and Less Than Zero versus A Nightmare on Elm Street. Reality Bites advanced, so did 16 Candles, St. Elmo's Fire, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, which left us with Reality Bites and A Nightmare on Elm Street coming out of their bracket. And finally, in the Southern bracket, we had Society Owes Me a Gen X podcast with Fight Club versus Party Girl, Wayne's World versus Grosse Point Blank, Say Anything versus Train Spotting, and SLC Punk versus The Breakfast Club, to which we had Fight Club and Wayne's World advancing out of the top bracket, and Say Anything and SLC Punk advancing out of the bottom bracket, leaving us with Wayne's World and Say Anything.
Yeah, are we the only ones that didn't bother to look at a map, considering we gave the ladies from England the southern region? How does that work?
Well, and also one of the things that I thought about after, because we did a complete blind draw on who got what regions, and I was like, it might be a little bit on the nose, the fact that the ladies from across the pond got Train Spotting. Yeah, well. It was like, no, we didn't do that on purpose. That was that was just a sheer accident. So yeah, we're going to start. I guess we're just going to start with the North. We're going to start with the North. Fast Times at Ridgemont High versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
So George, you're in timeout during this.
Okay. That's a good thing, because I can argue against anybody but myself.
I know.
Lily, we're going to start with you. And we'll kind of like take this kind of as a round robin where we won't start with the same person every time. What are your thoughts on Fast Times at Ridgemont High versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Well, I mean, I think this is probably easy if I want to be sexist about my sex.
Go right ahead.
I would
please
probably say that nothing to do with Amy Heckerling being director, actually, but I think it's because it was written by Cameron Crowe. Mm-hmm. And he's got such a big, squishy heart. And it's sometimes to the detriment of his movies. He gets a little too emotional. But there's always such a beating heart in his movies. The soundtrack, of course, coming from him, writing from Rolling Stone and pretty much every other kind of 70s music mag there was. He had some excellent taste. Apparently, they butted heads a lot when it came to that, because Amy wanted the new wave stuff, and he was fighting for the Eagles and whatnot. But for me, yeah, Bill and Ted is what we'd call kind of a lad movie. It's a guy thing. I mean, I watched it with my dad and brother, who killed themselves laughing, falling all over each other. I liked it, but I did not have the response, let's just say, that they did. It was this visceral male thing. So it was, it's daft, it's silly, it's funny, it has Keanu. There's no complaints here, but for me, it's Fast Times.
All right. Alan M. We're gonna go with Alan M. How about that? Great Josie and the Pussycats character there. So going back old school there.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, us Allens, we didn't get a whole lot of representation, so when you got one, you remembered it.
Because nobody could figure out which way you wanted to spell your damn name.
Well, we spell it the correct way, both of us do. So, all right, Alan, go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm very much in agreement with what was just said. Fast Times at Ridgemont High to me was a slice of life, and it was actually a lot of teen comedies in the 80s were entirely unrealistic. I knew nobody that was ever stuffed in a locker. I knew nobody who ever endured a lot of what we see in the teen movies of the 80s, especially the teen comedies. But Fast Times, to me, it always felt very real. I had Mr. Hand, and that was just a teacher that you could look into any classroom walking down the hallway, and that was what was represented in the school. And the characters, they were Cameron Crowe. He did a phenomenal job. He wrote a script that I feel was very accurate. If we're looking at a movie that is just truly Gen X, I don't know that you can do much better than Fast Times, honestly. I knew many of Spicoli's in my time as well. So,
yes.
And on the flip side, Bill and Ted was an event movie. I remember going, and we enjoyed it. It was a milestone, if you will. But I never liked it as much as most of my peers. I love George Carlin, my best part of the film without question. Keanu, I have a love-hate relationship with, honestly. I think he is hands down one of the greatest actors in Hollywood in terms of personality. And he's a philanthropist. He's a truly remarkable human being, but he plays the same role in every film. And when he doesn't, he I don't know, he kind of is a detriment to the film, I think. I remember watching Dracula. And kept waiting for Jonathan. Yeah, I kept waiting for Jonathan Harker to just, out of nowhere say, "Cool fangs, Drac dude." It just really.
So, Alan, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
Does that role mean that he's always playing an FBI agent?
Often, yeah.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
No. It's true. John Wick and I think of The Matrix. It's really just Ted,
Yes.
It's the same facial expressions from start to finish. I don't know.
Here.
Bill and Ted just doesn't feel to me. If you're looking for a film that represents Gen X, I don't know that is the way to go. To me, it's just a no-brainer. I think Fast Times is the clear winner.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, hey, we've got 2 votes for Fast Times. Barry,
doesn't matter what the hell I say.
Go ahead if you want to defend.
I'll say this much. When it concerns these two, and I think Alan actually said it best when he said one is more of an event movie and one is more of a slice of life. If you think about it, Bill and Ted is kind of like going to the carnival, whereas Fast Times is kind of like going to high school. It is something that is a better representation of the highs, lows, what it meant to be of someone of that era. So I definitely agree that Fast Times, and I'm a sucker for a great soundtrack, and that's not to knock on the soundtrack for Bill and Ted. It was good, but it's nothing compared to that one.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna. You're correct about soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
George, go right ahead. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, defend yourself.
Defend myself. I put both of them in there.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead.
We had a lively debate, and the strongest, toughest debate that we had was actually putting Bill and Ted forward over Boys in the Hood. Those were the last two.
I was surprised,
in that
honestly.
round. And it was really tough. I think it was really more of John's love of Bill and Ted that gave it the slight nod over Boys in the Hood, because personally, I think Fast Times and Boys in the Hood were more slice of life, as somebody mentioned earlier, than Bill and Ted. Although Bill and Ted, it's kind of one of those movies that represents the feel of the 80s more than the slice of life. So while Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like you said, you had Mr. Hand as one of your teachers and you knew a Spicoli, and the music soundtrack, we all admit, hands down Fast Times at Ridgemont High over Bill and Ted. But Bill and Ted, when you think about that movie, you might start thinking about things like Dayglow pants, or you might start thinking about, synth track 80s music. It just kind of has a feel of the 80s less than a slice of life of the 80s. So I think it's a viable candidate to be at this point of the bracket, but I agree that Fast Times at Ridgemont High to me is the clear winner. Now I'm going to get kicked off of my podcast for saying that, because when I was sent to this podcast, I was given explicit orders to go with Bill and Ted's, and I was going to argue against it anyway. So
George is going rogue on us here.
Yeah, John knows
you can come join us.
I'm going to go with my heart. So yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Before I kind of wanted to just say this. With Fast Times being, again, the slice of life, Bill and Ted being very fantastical, it's also representing two different ends of Gen X.
Sure.
Because Fast Times came out in 82, 83, somewhere around in there. So that was, like the older Gen X. And then Bill and Ted came out when I was, I graduated high school in 92. It came out while I was in high school. So it was that back end Gen X, kind of actually middle back end type. So I can see that. But yeah, all right, we're good with Fast Times advancing.
All right.
All right. Thank you, George. Since you had to sit that one out, you get to go first this time.
And I'm on the
bubble. We are going to go to the Eastern bracket here, which is Empire Records versus Clerks.
Oh, Jesus, I don't want to do
this. Go right ahead.
Have fun, kids.
I'm not saying there's a wrong answer. I'm not saying there's a wrong answer, but there's a wrong answer.
So for the listeners out there, we've got a bracket, and you guys ranked each one of these movies just like you would in a basketball tournament. You got the number 1 versus the number 8. This is the 5 versus the 4. And just like in any type of sports event, when you have those middle picks in a bracket, it's going to be the toughest game of the entire tournament. And I think that's what is going to happen here. Clerks is a movie that I discovered about 2 years after it came out through friends of mine that John and I belonged to in a Star Trek club. And one of them had seen the movie. He had the VHS tape, and we all sat and watched it together one night on his recommendation. And I fell in love with the movie and Kevin Smith from that moment forward. Empire Records is one that I discovered on my own on its VHS tape journey, and I fell in love with that movie immediately from watching it. So both of these films are incredible films to me. Clerks I fell in love with because I grew up in that environment. My family owned a small grocery store, and I worked there from the time I was 10 years old till the time I was 21, every single day, saying I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. Empire Records, every single musical moment in that film has a personal memory outside of the film for me. It's everything from Video Killed the Radio Star all the way through that. It's just a beautiful homage to music.
I want to hear the Guar story. That I definitely want to hear.
I've got some friends in that realm. That's all I'm going to say. Honestly,
so
for me, I don't know how to pick between these two. You guys leveled the playing field here. 5 versus 4 is accurate.
You're going to have to shoot old Yeller. Come on.
I know.
Like God. I said, I'm not saying there's a wrong answer, but there's a wrong answer.
Well, I'm probably going to choose the wrong answer. I'm going with Clerks on this one. I can't get away from the writing that was in this. I think it was the very first example I saw of the snappy, quick-witted dialogue writing style that I had ever seen and really fell in love with. I think there was plenty of heart in both movies, so I can't go on heart. Music I would give to Empire Records.
Yes.
But overall longevity and influence, I think I kind of got to go with Clerks because Kevin Smith and that style of writing has influenced everything that we see in movie and TV shows today. If you can show me a quick-witted, snappy written dialogue TV show or movie that doesn't pay homage to Clerks, I think that they're lying. So I'm going to go with Clerks.
Awesome. Lily, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, if I'm speaking for the pod,
yes,
which I'm supposed to do, Hannah and I both love Empire Records. I totally get that I'm probably wrong about this because, Clark, as we say in England, is so original. It's coming from kind of almost nowhere. It's embodying the Gen X spirit of DIY and sticking it to the man and doing it how you want to do it. Whereas probably Empire Records is a bit of it's a studio grab for who can we get in it? What music can we just basically, I think someone said like this movie, Empire Records, coasts along the coattails of its soundtrack, which is perfectly true. But everyone loves it because of that. And there's some top drawer acting, I think, as well. If we're being honest, Clark's can be a little patchy there sometimes. The main character is amazing, but some of the people coming in and out, I don't know, it's a little spotty. But I love it too. But I had the Empire Records VHS tape that was an X video store tape that I bought in Virgin. I watched it all the time. My brother and I were obsessed with the soundtrack. It got me through university pretty much because it was just one of those no-brainers. You stick it on, it's always fun. I've probably taken a million little sound bites and thrown it into my dialogue thanks to that movie. So unpopular choice, but I think Hannah would agree. We would have to say Empire Records.
That is a very solid choice. That's again.
So she celebrates.
And every day, let's be honest, every day is Rex Manning Day.
We do celebrate. Yes, we are observant.
All right, Alan. Basically, it's down to you, my friend.
Tiebreaker. Well, I don't have a lot to add that hasn't already been said. Empire Records, the soundtrack. It's all about the soundtrack. Which, given what we do on our podcast, I mean that plays a huge part, and I do have a special place in my heart for the film. I remember it at the time as being a vehicle for Liv Tyler. I mean, she was the it girl, and it just felt to me like the movie was kind of created to get her on screen, even in some ways. But I love the film, but for me, I have to go Clerks. Clerks to me it was so original. It was so different. And the banter, as George said, with the quick dialogue between characters. And I actually just last weekend, I was in Cleveland for Fan Expo, Cleveland Comic Con. And I had the opportunity to meet Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, and we talked about some of their work together. Clerks has left its print on everything that has come since. I mean, I don't know that there is a young up and coming filmmaker that does not study Kevin Smith and actually build upon what he has started with his films. And certainly the cast of characters that he has created, the interweaving of all of those characters from story to story. He's basically built a franchise, and he's done it from the ground up. So just in terms of craftsmanship, and that's the GenX spirit. I mean, he went on his own, out of the way, did everything his way, entertained himself doing it. I don't know. I have such a special place in my heart for Clerks. That movie changed the way I looked at film. So I have to give the nod to it.
I am so glad that you guys had to debate this and not me.
Yes.
I am so glad I got a pass on this.
We had such a hard time because, for us coming out of this, we had Clerks against High Fidelity.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, how do I choose?
That I would not have wanted to do.
No.
Do you want the Ferrari? Do you want the Porsche?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on, know. And my 2 cents on this, again, kind of everything that's been said, I 100% agree with. I will say, kind of to Lily's point, there's a lot of elements that were touched on in Empire Records that you didn't really see with Clerks. Clerks was very narrow viewed. You had these characters and their lives, and that's all they dealt with. So if you didn't really necessarily tie in or relate to one of those characters, it was a little bit harder to watch. Whereas something like with Empire Records, you have the stoner, you have the metalhead, you have the outlier, you have the pretty girl, you have all those other types of elements on it. So it did open up the door a lot more for people to relate to them and to tie to them. So as I said, I'm so glad I didn't have to debate this one, because this is shooting old Yeller for me. Yeah. But I think when it boiled down to it, as much as I absolutely adore the movie Empire Records, I would have had to go with Clerks, just for the simple fact of the impact that it's had. And it almost reinterpreted and recreated, if you will, Gen X culture. So,
and none of us are supposed to be here today.
No,
so this
no.
is
It's a Saturday morning. What are we doing?
Exactly. Here? All right. We're going to move on to, let's see, we got the Western bracket, which is
wrong Western.
There you GenXmixtape. So Alan, you're sitting this one out. Barry,
yes,
we're going to start with you this time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Reality Bites versus A Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay. So for the record, I was really hesitant to put A Nightmare on Elm Street on here in the first place. This was out of pressure from Alan and Dave to kind of go with this. in retrospect, I can admit when I'm wrong. This definitely had a lot of good representation for the era, for what it was, and it definitely defines a pivotal moment in Gen X culture. All that being said, my vote's for Reality Bites.
There you go. George, what you think?
Okay, so I'm at a slight of disadvantage. I've seen Reality Bites one time.
Okay.
Most of the time when I find a movie that I enjoy, which I did enjoy Reality Bites, I don't want to give off a false impression. I will watch a movie 20, maybe 25 times. Because I really like to dig into films. As anybody who's listened to our podcast will tell you, I'm kind of the movie buff guy on our group. Mo writes great movie reviews, and he's better at that than I am. But I really dig into the movies. I learn everything I can about them whenever I find a movie that grabs me. And unfortunately, Reality Bites, as good as it was, didn't grab me in that way. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street, however, because I'm a horror fan, absolutely grabbed me.
Dave is like doing victory laps over here. I'm telling you, you guys need to change numbers and like, talk on the weekends or something.
Yeah. So I don't sense know collusion. That there are 3 80s horror films, or not 80s, but 3 Gen X horror film franchises that everybody recognizes. There's Friday the 13th, there's Halloween, and there's the Nightmare series, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nightmare, in my opinion, went more 80s than the other two. The other two tried to grab at their magic that they built in their first film to varying degrees of success. Nightmare on Elm Street, every single one of those films is absolutely Generation X. It's absolutely 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
When you take characters and the evil guy throws them through TV screens while they're playing MTV. I mean, there's nothing more 80s or Gen X than that, right? It's just crazy stuff. So I don't think you can get away from Freddy Krueger being one of the better horror icons ever created. And that first film was terrorizing. It was really disturbing. The blood bed scene alone gives people nightmares to this day. My kid, I introduced him to this film, my youngest, when he was like 10 years old.
That's good. That's good parenting.
I think we were all really young when we watched it. So.
He didn't go to sleep for about 2 days, I think, after watching that film. So while I will be happy to admit that Reality Bites is probably the clear winner here, I'm going to go with Nightmare on Elm Street.
And also there's the added, bad stuff happens to Johnny Depp in bed, apparently. So.
Wow. You've been waiting for that joke.
Yeah.
You have been waiting
I've had
for
that one
joke.
I have had that one in the chamber for
my gosh. Lily,
you get
Lily, help us out here.
I was going to say a similar thing about the bed because I rewatched this last night just to freshen up, and I too am a massive horror movie fan, and definitely for me, I saw Halloween and Friday the 13th and everything when I was a kid, as we all did. But I really took to Scream. I loved the kind of whole sending up of his own movie. There's so many elements. Watching Nightmare on Elm Street again, you just see how much he took from his own movie. But he never even took, there was something about Freddy that he didn't even take himself that seriously, even though he's the child murderer and he's terrifying, and all kids, little kids at school.
The child murderer with a heart of gold.
no heart here, but but he was laughing and he was making jokes and he was sort of maniacally, gleeful. Whereas when you think of Friday the 13th and Halloween, there was this blankness to the killer. He had no personality at all. So Freddy had that as a dimension, but we never watched the movie as kids, but everybody had older brothers and sisters. We knew about it. We were terrified. We knew there's this guy and he's got these knives for fingers. And my kids now kind of secretively try and watch or play this game called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, it's still happening. Everyone's still obsessed with this movie, and it is an absolute cracker. And it did switch up the genre, and he did an amazing job. I love it. I think it's really used as a kind of a springboard for bringing it all back, and I love that too. Having said that, Reality Bites is for Hannah and I, it's our jam. We watched it so much. We can do the script. The soundtrack is just our life. We podded about it already. We're nuts about this movie. We also love Ethan Hawke. We love Winona Ryder. We love Ginny Garofalo, and particular love for Steve Zahn. He's amazing and incredible. And they all just turn in the most amazing performance. And being Gen X icons themselves, I have to say, Reality Bites.
You just lost Dave as a friend.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that.
Dave's weeping in the corner right now. So
I tried to show the love. I did
know,
try and
it's
show
fun.
the love.
No. Yeah.
And
I'm feeling it.
And on a personal note, before we kick it over here to Alan to get his points, Lily, be honest with me. Is there anything better than hearing Ethan Hawke singing The Violent Femmes? I mean, come on.
Yes, there is. It's him doing the "I'm Nothing" song.
No,
like the original song. Come on, he's got a crack. Was it a cokehead mom and a pothead dad?
Okay, that one was good. I'll give you that. All right, Alan.
All right, Alan. You
throw your 2
final
cents in
thoughts
here.
on this one.
Okay, well, frankly, Dave and I were really surprised that Nightmare on Elm Street made it to the Elite Eight.
Me too.
We were really, I don't know. I think we were leaning toward the Brat Pack and setting St. Elmo's Fire on, but neither of us were particular fans of St. Elmo's Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And what we said, Dave and I were both English teachers, so we read too much into everything anyway. But when we started talking about Nightmare, we started looking at so many different themes that are underlying in the story of Freddy Krueger that I think are, if you're just looking for jump scares, they're lost on a lot of audience participants. But just the commentary on suburbia and the idea of, and the sins of the father, being cast upon this the group of kids.
Real quick, that's why I put this movie on this list, was the sins of the father. The whole, like, let's be honest, it's Gen X. How much shit have we had to endure because of what the generation in front of us did, and that was kind of the whole thing with this. So yeah, go right ahead. So.
Oh yeah. Just failure to realize your dreams, how dreams kind of, we were forecasted to be the first generation to do worse than our parents. And, dreams just kind of, they came back to haunt our generation, I think, in many ways. And the suburbs being what they were, just the conformity of it and trying to escape the suburb. Dave and I were having a lot of fun. We were just reading probably way too much into the movie. Plus, it introduced the world to Johnny Depp. It introduced the world to Freddy Krueger, and Wes Craven. His directorial work there is just phenomenal. Reality Bites. It was. I'll tell you what. Reality Bites. It ended up going up against 16 Candles, and that one hurt. I mean, it really hurt putting the two of them, pitting them against each other. Reality Bites, I think, is probably one of the most accurate portrayals of Gen X ever filmed. Honestly, it's the real world and just the uncaring nature of it all. And it was an all-star cast, which has already been said. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the one debating this one, and it sounds like Reality Bites just won. So which I totally understand. In fact, I even told Dave at the time that Nightmare on Elm Street would die in this round. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to make the decision because I'm a horror junkie. I mean, I live, breathe, and die horror as a genre. So, but yeah, there's no question that Ethan Hawke and Winona Ryder, their characters in Reality Bites, and just the real world crashing down on you, leaving college and realizing as a Gen Xer that, life pretty much sucks. I mean, it doesn't get more accurate than that. So, I'm glad I'm not the one choosing.
All right. So we're going to move on to our final bracket here, which is the Southern bracket. Wayne's World versus Say Anything. This was Society Owes Me a Gen X podcast bracket. So Lily, you get to sit this one out. Who have we not started off with yet? Was it Alan? Have you started yet? we're gonna kick it to you. So.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Wow. This is one that I don't know that there is a clear winner for me. Honestly, Say Anything. It's the fairy tale story, and I don't know if that there is anything more iconic than John Cusack holding a boombox above his head. Nothing says I love you like In Your Eyes playing from below your window. I don't know. I love Say Anything. It's probably not my favorite romantic comedy of the 80s, but it's so iconic. And then Wayne's World. Oh, good God. Wayne's World, I think, is a lot like Bill and Ted's, and very similar structure. It was another event movie, and very much playing off of the success of Saturday Night Live, which was in a renaissance period at that point. But the two of them together, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, it was just pure comedic gold. And I think that if you're going with soundtrack, which I haven't talked a whole lot about in the contest that we've had because I wasn't the first to go, I don't know that there's a soundtrack more important to Gen X than Wayne's World. And what it did, bringing Queen back to, or introducing Queen to a new generation, just in and of itself, I don't know. I don't know which way I would go. I might need some help from everybody else to make a decision on this one.
Oh, you have to choose.
I have to choose. You bastard. All right.
The red pill or the blue pill? Come on now.
All right. If I'm going to jump down the rabbit hole, let's see. I got to go Wayne's World, I guess.
Wayne's World.
Yeah, I got to go Wayne's World just because I think it touched on, it certainly is not a realistic portrayal of anything, really, other than the actual television show itself. I mean, it's very Gen X, the two of them sitting in their basement, entertaining themselves and recording their show. That to me it smacks of Gen X. And certainly just the slacker view and riding around just having fun, not knowing where life was taking you. There's a lot of Gen X there, but I think that I remember, if we're just talking about the heart of the film, I remember seeing it in the theater, and I must have seen that movie maybe 5-6 times in the theater, and we could not get enough of Wayne's World. So just on nostalgia alone, yeah, okay. Wayne's World's going to get my vote, I think.
Very.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah, George is coming down to you, it looks like.
Yeah. Sorry, George. So here's where I struggled with this one, because I went back and forth. I talked to my fiance, the infamous Amy, just to try to get some input from her on this. There is such a huge wave of love for the movie Say Anything. I mean, John Cusack, probably one of his best roles. Yeah. And is there anyone on this planet that has not felt the line of, I gave her my heart, she gave me a pen? I mean, come on. There's so many elements that it touched on that was just heartwarming and real. Somebody put it to me like this, though, when you're looking at the two of these. Yes, that's the coffee maker going off.
Priorities.
Yeah, exactly. Say Anything was the friends that you had. Wayne's World was the friends that you wanted. So that being said, I kind of have to go with Alan on this one and go with Wayne's World, just because of the fact that there's not been a person that I have met of our era that has not had some interaction with Wayne's World on it. And, it's so ubiquitous, either through, the movie or through the SNL characters or the countless times that it's been talked about in other things. And while Say Anything is iconic, there are still a lot of people that have no idea what that movie is. They would have no concept of what that movie is. They may know the song. They may know the infamous holding the boombox up thing. But that's about the only moments of that movie that most people are going to remember. Wayne's World, on the other hand, you have, for the rebirth of Queen alone, for the rebirth of Bohemian Rhapsody alone, I got to go with Wayne's World.
George?
Yeah. So it sounds like the decision's already been made. I think there've already been 2 votes for Wayne's World. I'm not sure how it comes down to me.
Well, apparently not.
You can change your mind.
Yeah, that's true. You could absolutely,
Well, I'm going to give it a shot. As you guys know, I was in debate in high school and college, so I tend to take these argument things fairly seriously.
You think?
I definitely like to argue, as anybody who knows me will tell you. I'm definitely going to side on Say Anything this way, even though I love Wayne's World just a little bit more than I do Say Anything. There's no question in my mind that Say Anything is the better slice of life representation of Gen X than Wayne's World is. Now, you guys have gone off about the whole let's bring Queen back to the next generation and what it did for Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm not going to argue about that. But the soundtrack of Say Anything is by far better. It's just not even close. There's one iconic song out of Wayne's World, and then Tia Carrera does some really great versions of some other songs.
Mm-hmm.
Say Anything, you're talking about Nancy Wilson, Living Color, Cheap Trick, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Peter Gabriel, Depeche Mode, The Replacements. I mean, you show me a better movie lineup than that, and I'll show you Empire Records.
Hey, you had me at Replacements.
It's a huge soundtrack. Then you want to talk about the actors. Wayne's World had some great spots along with 2 main actors, right? So you had Dana Carvey and you had his counterpart Wayne, but other than that, you just have little guest spots. You have Tia Carrera doing her thing. You have Brat Pack doing his thing. But Say Anything, you got John Cusack, you got Ione Skye, you got John Mahoney. I mean, Baby Newworth from Cheers. I mean, Eric Stoltz is in this movie. I mean, it's incredible the casting that they put on this. Jeremy Piven as Mark. I mean, ridiculous. Going back to My Friend Across the Sea, this is another Cameron Crowe product, and it's not just written by Cameron Crowe. It was also directed by Cameron Crowe. So, in my mind, that even gives it a bigger view into the Generation X setting. Then there's the one thing that I can't get away with or can't get away from with Wayne's World, and that's Wayne's World's not a movie. Okay. Wayne's World is a collection of skits strung together with a through line, and it's loosely a movie in that it lasted longer than an hour. That's it. It's not really a film. Say Anything is a film. So if you're going to debate on which was the best Gen X film, you've got one Gen X film, and then you've got another one that's a collection of skits tied together with some music and single through line that barely holds it together.
Okay, hold on. All right, before we ask if there's any changes here, Lily, would you like to weigh in on this? Because I know you and Hannah had a very lively debate about this one on your podcast. So.
Yes, we did. I think she was going to throw something at me at some point. She was not having it. Wayne's World was going through. Forget it. We're not having a podcast anymore. Wayne's World was going through. It was a to the death type situation, and I had to concede. Although I think it was Grosse Pointe Blank it was up against, and I was.
It was.
I was riding pretty high for that. I still think it's a better movie, but hey, I agreed, and by agreeing, I managed to get Say Anything instead. So maybe Say Anything wasn't my first choice, but I agree with everything George just said. It's an actual movie. The soundtrack is way better, and and the actors too. But I can't explain to you. Hannah is so completely obsessed with this movie, and I feel like she is really speaking for a lot of people, though. Many people are crazy about this film. It just captured a moment in time of their young lives, and laughing. I mean, can we even imagine how many times any of us have heard "not" or Way or any of the
Monkeys
other,
might come out of our butt.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Swing, you know.
Excellent. You know, actually, that was Bill and Ted, wasn't it?
But it was definitely in that vein as well.
Yes,
And it spawned this kind of subculture all of its own. So I get that. It wasn't my subculture, but I get it. So, you know, it is what it is, and it's in your hands. I'm
Hold
so
on.
glad.
I think Dave wants to say something.
So at this point, all I'm going to say is George has the correct answer. Which one of you two are going to correct?
Wow. Okay, so since I'm the bad guy
hold on, Alan. What are your thoughts here?
Well, in fairness, I began by saying I didn't have a clear winner between the two. And now I love film. I've studied film. So George went a long way in really kind of steering me back to probably where I need to be.
Don't do it, Alan. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Whatever. You're getting ready to flip, so don't even.
I 100% agree with very nearly everything. Well, I agree with everything George said. Wayne's World is a collection of skits. It is not it certainly is not a cinematic achievement, and I would agree it probably isn't even much of a movie. I just, say anything. It is. The acting is incredible. The screenplay is amazing. The direction was fantastic. I love John Cusack. Hands down one of my absolute favorite actors of our generation. But say anything. While I loved the film, and I did. I can appreciate the romance as it builds, and then as it just crumbles for the two characters in the film. It didn't move me in ways that other romantic films, other romantic comedies did of the era. I mean, I think of like A Pretty in Pink, and that one, I would probably fight tooth and nail for Pretty in Pink. Say anything, it didn't move me in that same kind, and I don't know why. I don't know what was missing for me that I did not make that immediate connection to say anything that a lot of other viewers did.
So you're going to stay with Wayne's World?
I'm staying with Wayne's World.
Okay.
Smart man. And I'll tell you why. Here's my big argument on this whole thing. First off, it does break my heart, the fact that there's not a John Cusack movie in the final four.
Yeah, how the hell did
However, I would like to point out one thing. Would you rather have a Mike Myers movie going up against Reality Bites or a John Cusack movie going up against Reality Bites?
Okay, so we're gonna make these debates all about movies that they're not up against, or movies that they might go up against in the next round. Because Alan's debate was it wasn't the best of the romantic comedies that he saw in that generation. This is not up against any of those other romantic comedies. It's up against Wayne's World. And your argument is you want Wayne's World to go up against Reality Bites.
No. This was not an argument. This is more of just an absolute fact on it. I was like, which one of these actually stands a better chance?
Okay, I'm making a ruling here.
Oh Lord,
this is only a debate between the two movies. It can have nothing to do with the movie.
Fine then.
So shut your mouth and make this right.
Hey.
Oh, we got dunking.
So, but I will say this much. I stand by my original statement on this as far as that movie goes, because, like I said, these are the friends you wanted. These were the guys that you wanted to go hang out with. These were the guys you wanted to know. These were the guys that I struggle to find anybody that is of our era who didn't either know somebody like this or wanted to hang out with somebody like this. So I stand by my original statement. Even, was it film? No, but that's not necessarily what we're debating here. Remember, it's not the best movie. It's the best movie about Gen X. And I think that these guys represent an element of Gen X that, everybody wanted to have that friend. Everybody wanted to have that goofball guy who would, had these wild ideas to just do his own thing. And the wonderful, so yeah, as we're looking at Alan, who's, kind of started this whole thing, I give you folks Exhibit A.
All right.
But yeah, I stand by my original one. And George, you do make some great points on it. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from that. Is it a better film? Yes, it's a better film. Is it a better representation of Gen X? I don't think so.
So you're sticking with Wayne's World?
I'm sticking with Wayne's World.
George, I thought you were flipping it there. I really did, buddy.
I gave it my best.
You gave it. Yeah, that was a really good argument.
Yes. Solid.
Lily, sorry.
No, Hannah's very pleased.
I was going to say, I know Hannah is ecstatic right now. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we are down to our final four now. So that means we have Fast Times at Ridgemont High going up against Clerks. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
And we have Reality Bites going up against Wayne's World. Good luck with that. We're going to start with Fast Times at Ridgemont High versus Clerks.
Who wants to start this?
Who wants to start? Any volunteers? No.
I'll go ahead and jump in.
All right, here we go. We'll start with George.
So even though I love both of these films and I have a clear winner in my heart,
okay,
I'm going to take the position that I've got to fight for the champion that my podcast put through.
Okay.
So I'm going to argue on behalf of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Cameron Crowe and Amy Heckerling, whether they argued or fought on set is immaterial to me. They combined together to put forth one of the greatest slice of life films of all time. I think the actors that were in the film and that came out of the film with the careers that they ended up having goes to prove the point that it had the more solid cast than Clerks. I mean, even if you just look at who was successful in the 80s coming out of those films, I mean, take a guy like Judge Reinhold. Judge Reinhold did not make it past 95, I don't believe, but he was in a whole bunch of stuff from the time of Fast Times at Ridgemont High through to 95 Beverly Hills Cop era. You've got Sean Penn. You've got Eric Stoltz, who was in the background even. Mr.
Edwards.
Hand. Yeah, just crazy. Phoebe Cates alone, this
Nicolas
really
Cage.
made her.
Nicholas
Coppola, excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Nicholas Coppola. I mean, all these people that came out of this film. Jennifer Jason Leigh, I loved her storyline and her character throughout the entire film. She started off as the innocent, ended up becoming the jaded, freshman moving into her next year because of all the traumatic events that happened to her. Rat, I mean, that poor kid, he couldn't win for losing. Even in the credit scene, he doesn't get any play in the end credit scene. It's just as much as I love Clerks and as much as I love Kevin Smith and as much of an influence as that is on films and TV shows forward, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is the best representation of Gen X. Clerks is the best representation of what it's like to work in a convenience store. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is the best representation of what it was to grow up in the 70s or early 80s.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, Alan.
I've got so little to add. He just every point that I was about to make, he stole from me. Fast Times. What we have not said is it of course is It possesses probably the most paused moment in cinematic history.
There is that also. Yes. I'm sure not for a Society Owes Me podcast, but for the rest of us, yes.
Granted. But I dare you to find a Gen Xer, a junior high schooler, even someone in their college years who did not pause the VCR for, right? Yeah.
However long it took, exactly.
Yeah. It's really Fast Times. I think Fast Times is just it's so honest, and and it touched on so many points that really before Fast Times, I don't recall seeing or at least having recognition in film about the various abortion as an example.
Yes.
It's such I mean, one needs only look right now at what's going on in the political landscape here on our side of the pond. But, I don't recall, a teenage presence in that argument on film prior to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, that's just one example of how real, how honest I really think the movie was. I got to go Fast Times, and I love Clerks. I mean, in my heart, I want to give it to Clerks because to me that movie was so. It changed my worldview on film, on movies, honestly. But if we're looking at Gen X, I mean, what it is we're trying to achieve here, Fast Times is the clear winner.
All right. Lily, anything to add to this?
Well, I mean, everything Alan George already said, absolutely spot on. Couldn't agree more. Particularly what Alan was saying about that, the honesty of it. I think what it did is it kind of showed you the kind of the underbelly, those kind of things that didn't normally crop up in kind of teen or coming of age movies, which is the horrible truth, the realization that sometimes people lie to you and sometimes people are just out to get what they want. And that kind of growing and learning and going through the nastier, crueler aspects of life was something that I don't think a lot of movies had done before. But it was done with wit and with elegance and with a great soundtrack too. So I concur.
Well, that is 3 for Fast Times. Barry, do you have anything that
I see? And I'm actually kind of glad that you guys jumped on this because I was going to go Clerks, and under the premise of one thing, and that is, if you watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it is a good overview. It does. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You get just enough of each one of the characters to be able to say, okay, this can do the job. This tells me enough about them, so I'm interested. However, when you look at Clerks, it is truly more of a deep dive, and it's more of a real analysis of what's going on with these people, how much of a shitty life that they had and what they were dealing with and how they were surviving it. And I quote the movie when I say, that's what life is a bunch of down endings. It ends on a down ending. Everything about it just kind of spirals down, especially if you saw the extended cut where he gets shot at the end. I mean, there was a lot of elements on this that I remember watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High the first time, and I'm like, okay, that was a good movie. I like that movie. When I watched Clerks, however, that was just, I knew those people. I worked with those people. I've seen those people. It was more personal. It really kind of latched onto that element. I didn't quite get that with Fast Times. It felt more like caricatures instead of real people. So that was going to be my argument for Clerks. But in this case, I see the arguments on either side of it. And to everyone's point, the soundtrack, yes, absolutely 100% better. Although I do have to admit, I have a little soft spot in my heart for Berserker.
Yeah.
But
all right. So we have our first. Fast Times at Ridgemont High has advanced to the finals. So now that brings us to our final, or to get our final movie in. We have Reality Bites versus Wayne's World. Lily, I'm going to let you start with this one.
Oh.
Since this one's just so near and dear to your podcasts.
Yes. And frankly, it couldn't have gone up against any other film but Reality Bites, and my podcast is still saved because
I know there was some question at the end of your episode about whether or not your podcast would continue after all of this.
Wow.
She was very unrelenting, and I was like, let's find middle ground. No, there's no middle ground. It's Wayne's World or it's over. But I know how much she loves Reality Bites. And in fact, when we first met, this was one of the first things we bonded over, this and Pearl Jam. So I think she would forgive me for saying Reality Bites all day long. It's got to be.
Reality Bites. All right. George.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Reality Bites right off the top because, as I said in the previous debate, I still disagree that Wayne's World is an actual film. It's a collection of skits for me. So if we're going to say
this awful
Gen X
personal,
film,
George.
there's no question. One of these is a film, the other is not.
I can tell you right now, George, you're never going to be invited to visit Hannah.
Yes.
No, that's fine. I get that. I love Wayne's World. Don't get me wrong. Tia Carrere for me in that movie, and I'm not talking about her sex appeal. I'm talking about the way that she redid those songs.
Mm-hmm.
I remember specifically taking her version of that one song and clipping together a bunch of Ballroom Blitz, clipping together a bunch of Star Trek scenes to it with two VCRs and a VHS tape, just clipping them back and forth to make an edit because I didn't have an edit bay when I was.
I'm telling you, poor. that story right there. You and Dave is falling so in love with you.
Yeah,
it is not. I mean, I can literally see like hearts coming off.
There's a bromance going here.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Just because I did some things and agree with George.
Hey. Back in the booth. Back in the booth.
I mean, Wayne's World is so much fun. It really is. Head bopping in the little car with the blue paint job and red flames. I mean, the licorice in the top of it.
Forgot about that.
There's so many little parts. There's Ed O'Neill's, talking about killing somebody.
That is a movie in and of itself. Okay.
Yeah. There's so many of those moments where they're breaking the fourth wall and doing that kind of fun stuff. But it's Reality Bites. And like I said earlier, I only saw it one time, but it's held that much of an impression on me this entire time since then.
Okay.
I can't let it go. So I'm going to have to go with Reality Bites.
Barry?
All right. I'm the one that championed Wayne's World in the first place. So
yes, this is your fault.
I will come up with this. And by the way, George, not to correct you or anything, it was red vines. It wasn't licorice.
Thank you. You're right. You're right.
They're two different things there.
Yes, they are.
And
tomato.
As much as you gush about Tia Carrere, every bass player on the planet, the minute that she picked up that white Fender, I'm looking at her going, you're holding it wrong.
Right. No, I agree with you on that.
Stop it. It just hurts my soul. But
coming from the bass player.
Yes, thank you. So, yeah. It hurts my soul. But I do agree. I mean, Wayne's World, as much as I love that movie, as much as I would champion that movie from the highest mountaintop, when you come up against the Goliath like Reality Bites, you're going to lose. There's no other way to say it. That movie I won't say that it had everything, but it had enough of everything. It had just enough to be able to keep you interested, to make you laugh, to make you care. And one thing that nobody's brought up about this is the Ben Stiller character in that, playing the sellout. And I mean, how many of our friends growing up do we later run into life that you're looking at it going, God, you're such a sellout.
Do we have all day?
Yeah, exactly. You want the list alphabetically or in order of appearance, So as Dave's finger comes flying across the day.
I'm the sellout. Yeah. We're going to talk off.
Yes. This may be the last podcast for us, guys. I don't know.
This could be a complete nuclear assault here on all the podcasts before it's over. So.
But I will say, and again, with everything that was said on this, I mean, we're kind of going back over a lot of topics, but I do think that Reality Bites, between the two of them, is a much better made movie to represent the era of what it was like to be in that era for Gen X. So the whole idea of, running up your dad's gas card to pay for things, and, you look like you're wearing a doily, I mean, those kinds of things, those were looks. That was a definite look back then. So yeah, Reality Bites.
All right, Alan, especially considering Reality Bites came out of your bracket.
I got to go Reality Bites. And
clean sweep. There we go.
Yeah, it's to me, it's no brainer. So,
all right. Now,
all right. Just before we get into this movie, I want to say this for anybody. I know George is a sports fan. We have two number ones. Oh, and Barry, I'm sorry. We have two number one seeds making it to the final, which is you don't see very happen. It don't happen very often. I mean, sometimes, but it's very rare. So.
We got Duke and North Carolina going head to head here.
Pretty much.
As Dave's shooting me daggers.
I know, right?
Kentucky
because
fans,
we're talking about UK here.
All right.
You're talking about Duke and North Carolina.
Fine.
All right. So in the finals, we have Reality Bites versus Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Anybody want to wade in on this one right off the bat?
Ooh, I'll start.
All right, Barry.
So again, kind of going back on what I was saying about Fast Times, I love the elements that they brought forth in Fast Times. I love the idea of what Fast Times represented. Between the two, though, as far as a representation of Generation X, of what we defined and what it was like to be us in that time frame, I feel like Reality Bites is a better representation of it. I really do. I mean, you have that whole struggling to get by and trying to make sense of the world, and friends that just kind of have the F it attitude. That's what we grew up with. I mean, how many coffee houses did you guys go visit? How many friends that you have that played in a band of 3 people? That kind of stuff. Exactly.
The 3 of us sitting here.
It definitely had more of a touchstone for me. I almost kind of felt like Fast Times was more of coming out of the boomer era, not quite into Gen X. So it was this is the effed up world that we're dealing with. Now we're trying to figure it out. Well, by the time it got to Reality Bites, we had already said, we're not going to figure this out. There's no way we can figure this out. So all we're trying to do is survive it. So I feel like Reality Bites is a better rep.
All right. Alan, since.
He said it perfectly, honestly. For my age, I was born in 73. So when you talk Gen X, I am right there in the middle, between 65 and 80. Fast Times, when it came out, I was all of 9 years old. And when Reality Bites came out, I was graduating college, I think. I think it was 95, 94
when you was, yeah.
So yeah, I graduated college in 95. Reality Bites, for my own experience, is much more accurate. That was my Gen X experience. And when we graduated from college, it was, Reality Bites was my reality, and it did it bited, it bit.
The English teacher said bited.
I did. I couldn't at it. No. Dave's worse. He would have had a number of gaffes by now. But nonetheless, that was my life experience. And Reality Bites, it was bold enough that it hit on a number of very real topics that were of concern to us. You did have, selling out versus staying true to your passions. You had the slacker, you had the music scene, but you also had, the AIDS scare, and you had coming out, to your parents, and you had there were so many social, and it was almost too perfect in that way. Reality Bites, I think it was like they had a number of boxes that they just ticked off, going, through the various problems that existed. But those problems existed. And I think Reality Bites handled it in a very mature way with a cast that was very likable. You cared about the characters. And I love Fast Times, but that wasn't my, I said that I went to that school and I had that teacher. I knew the Spicoli, but it still wasn't my time. It wasn't my Gen X. Reality Bites was my reality. And I got to give the nod to it.
And it bites.
All right, George.
Okay. I'm torn on this one. Seen Fast Time way more often than I've seen Reality Bites, as I've said multiple times already. There's a couple of statistics that are interesting between the two. Okay. Right. Number one, budget box office statistics. So Reality Bites only did 3 times its budget, worldwide box office. Fast Times, 10 times its budget. So I think there's an argument for the fact that Fast Times appealed to the larger population. More people went to go see it, especially when you factor in, cost of living increases and whatnot between 82 and 94. 33 million for Reality Bites, 50 million worldwide for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. To me, that shows that one of these two was a little bit more popular than the other. I get where you're saying that Reality Bites is more of what your experience was. It wasn't my experience. A, I didn't graduate college. B, I didn't play in a band. B, I've never been to a cafe. So two B's.
What have you done with your life?
I know, right? I grew up in Tallahassee. There's none of that stuff available here except for the college.
That's all you had to say right there.
But I think it depends on which part of your Gen X experience you identify with more. You guys identify more with your college and post-college lives as part of Gen X. I personally identify more with my high school experience as part of my Gen X development and upbringing.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I think depending upon which one of those you identify with more is what's going to sway you in this debate, because there's no argument that these two films are both worthy of being in the final two, and they both deserve the title. It's just a matter of preference, really, at this point. Reality Bites had the more condensed cast, so it's easier to focus more on each of those individual characters, whereas Fast Times at Ridgemont High had the broader cast and the broader amount of storylines. I mean, there was like 6 different storylines going on in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, maybe 7. Reality Bites had like 3, 4, that were really central to the movie. Yeah. So it's easier to focus on those and to find more that you love about those and that you identify with those, I think. But it doesn't mean that Fast Times is any less of a representation of Generation X. It just means that it might appeal to a larger audience, which is why I think it made more money in the box office, because it opened itself up to more people.
Okay.
Reality Bites, I don't think necessarily gives you the identity if you grew up, say, as Generation X in Wyoming, or if you grew up in a completely different environment than that film was set in. Whereas everybody went to high school in Generation X. And I think that's another reason why it appeals to more people. So for me, just because of the broader appeal, the broader availability of entrance into the characters and the storylines, and that's the only reason I'm going to go with Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Now, I'd like to point something out here before we go any further. Lily, I don't want you to feel any pressure. But
well, I knew there was a but coming.
If you go with Fast Times, that means the decider goes to the bald-headed wonder to my left. No pressure.
Lily.
Well,
that seems like an unfair coercion.
That right there did kind of seem like
just stating facts. Just stating facts.
I've seen this get teams thrown out in debate competitions before.
Yes.
Just stating a fact. Miss Lily. Lily's over here like, can I phone a friend? Can I get out of here?
No, I'm feeling very solid about this.
All right.
Okay.
You know, so much for and against. But honestly, I mean, what can I say? But welcome to the Maxi Pad. It's Reality Bites. You know,
nice pull, Lily. Nice pull there.
Nice.
So appropriate when you're the only girl. But I also, I hadn't even mentioned yet. I think we mentioned it on our pod that we did, but we are called Society Owes Me a Gen X podcast because of Troy Dyer and Society owing him a Snickers.
Yes.
So what better endorsement? I mean, it has to be Reality Bites.
Well, there we go.
There's no more words from me.
You dodged a bullet.
Hey, I'll be honest. I was going to go with Reality Bites.
Okay.
And it's funny looking back at all of this, like the entire bracket. You know, I think one observation I have with all of this getting into it, especially being the person who put these movies together, the fact that we didn't have a single John Hughes movie make it to the Elite Eight is
surprising.
Very surprising. I think Dave and I, especially when we were kind of looking at it, we're kind of like, so is there anything that can take down The Breakfast Club? Mm-hmm. And apparently that movie was SLC Punk, which I will say, Lily, when I was listening to your pod, And when that happened, part of me was like, yes, because I love the Breakfast Club. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of the points that you and Hannah made about SLC Punk were spot on about, I get this, you know. Yeah.
And to your point, you know, with ours, SFW going as deep as it did.
And we did. SFW came out of the first round with us against, I forget who it was, but it was against, I don't even remember, Scream. Yeah. You know, and it was one of those where it was like, wow, because again, going back and rewatching the movies, they caught us a different way, and I'm sure they did the same for you. I know listening to Mixtape, you guys really, you know, I think you were surprised, as you said earlier, about A Nightmare on Elm Street making it as far as it did. Mm-hmm. And then of course, you know, the whole what was it, Boys in the Hood versus
Wayne's World,
or Bill and Ted. You know, I know that was tough for you guys, you know, down in Florida. So it was.
I just want to point out, we didn't have a John Hughes film in our bracket, so it's not our fault.
But you did, that's all I'm saying. You did have a Cusack, though. You did have.
We did have a Cusack.
You had, and also the fact that a Cusack movie didn't make it.
Cusack didn't make it past the Elite Eight.
Yeah, and he had 3 movies. Yeah, so
no kidding.
I think it's really cool. Obviously, you know, when we post this, I'm sure no one's going to disagree with the choice that came down here whatsoever.
Oh no, never.
Considering,
except for one of the 4 who was debating the topic.
Well, let's put it this way: considering on our Instagram page, when I put up the brackets for all of them, immediately somebody was questioning the I forget what I think they were questioning why St. Elmo's Fire was ranked higher than Red Dawn or something like that. I was like, well, that's a weird poll, but okay. Yeah. I mean, everybody has their opinion.
And for the record, I have caught more hell about how these were ranked, who got what these movies were than anything else. So
welcome to the podcast.
Yes,
no,
absolutely.
Thanks for the new guy. You know?
And also the reason that, you know, these types of things are so much fun is because you don't know how they're going to turn out.
And, you know, and in reality, there is no wrong answer.
Exactly. You know? What is it we always say? You know, it's like, you know, that's the reason why you play, you know, it's sports analogy again. It's the reason why you play the game, because you just, you know, any given Sunday or Saturday or whatever it is, you know. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for indulging us. Barry wants to say
before we go out here, let's go around the table here. Alan, what's coming up for you guys in your podcast?
We are in season 3. We just recorded our second 2-part episode last night. It'll be airing here the end of May. Right now we opened the season with 1982. We're making a mixtape of just our favorite tunes from 40 years ago.
Sweet.
We have a lot of very interesting themes coming up. Our artist spotlight this time is going to be a Beatles artist spotlight, but we are looking specifically at cover versions of Beatles songs.
Wow!
We're looking at.
I'm a cover song addict. We should talk.
I am too. In fact, I think I annoy Dave a lot of the time because I'm always looking for cover versions.
And you know, my Dave is sitting here saying the same thing about me right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no, we're looking at 2-hit wonders this time around. We're looking at instrumentals.
Nice.
So just a lot of different things. So,
George, what do you and the Gen X boys got coming up down there?
Yeah, so coming up on May the 12th, we've got Billboard Hits of 1982, where we take each one of the number one songs.
We already did that. We got you by a couple months.
Well, we did 1981 last year, so we did 82 this year. We're just doing them on the 40th anniversaries. We just recently released an interview that I was able to do with Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall fame.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's doing a Shakespeare play here in town.
I remember you talking about that.
That was a good interview, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we did that one. And there's a secondary interview that's coming out specifically about the new Amazon rebirth of Kids in the Hall coming out.
I'm
this
so
month.
Excited about that.
The other one that we have is, as far as a backtrack, we've got a Top Gun retrospective coming up at the end of the month because the new movie's coming out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We do a slightly different format than other podcasts. We have a regular episode 1 week where we talk about stuff that we're watching or playing around with, that kind of thing. And then we do our backtrack, which is a deep dive into a single topic from our Gen X youth and talk about how it was for us then versus how it's changed or gone away. So our backtracks are very popular. And The Top Gun one, I think, is going to be incredible because I think John is in love with the volleyball scene for some reason. He keeps bringing that one up all the time.
Does he drive around playing with the song "Playing with the Boys" on constant loop?
I don't know which boys he's playing with, but we'll find out in the podcast.
We have met our Kenny Loggins quota. All right. And by the way, George, just for the record, just to give you a heads up on that on the 82 one, first off, be prepared to deal with Key Largo by Bertie Higgins. And a lot of Air Supply.
So
a lot of Air Supply.
We didn't do it that way. So we only took songs that hit #1 for at least 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
So those are the only ones that made it. It's not a list we chose. It's just a list that Billboard provided.
Yeah, we took the Billboard Top 100 of the year. And a lot of Air Supply.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Lily, let us know what's going on.
Take us home,
neck of the woods.
We just put out Lemonheads. It's a Shame About Ray.
Great album.
Yes.
Which we just absolutely love doing that. And Hannah's very excited because we're now interacting with Evan's mother, Susie, on Instagram. So
nice.
Get for her. She's very funny. We did Beastie Boys, Hello Nasty. We did Grosse Point Blank because
excellent.
I was aggrieved at having it thrown out. Liz Fair, and our latest is Jurassic 5.
Nice. Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, cool. And for us, since we're out, I'll do it.
Give them this.
We just started what I made an executive decision in the middle of recording a couple weeks ago because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And just on the fly, where we have just started what we're calling Retro Summer / Kids in Peril movies.
Yes.
So a small list of what we're going to be doing is The Goonies, Space Camp, E.T., Labyrinth, War Games, Cloak and Dagger, Neverending Story, Tron, Adventures in Babysitting, Explorers, Fly the Navigator.
Which I took exception at Tron because there's not really any kids there.
Well, I said / it's not necessarily. Again, it's the 40th since 40 years. Tron came out 40 years ago this summer, and they're all movies that were released during the summertime, and they're not necessarily 82. But they're all 80s,
and the majority of them are children with no helicopter parents,
none whatsoever.
No, they're basically allowed to go be free, get into adventures, get shot at by random bad guys.
I was going to say, we're going to record right after this. We're doing a couple episodes, one of them being Cloak and Dagger. And I'm like, oh my God, this kid has zero. And I remember watching as a kid, not thinking, I was like, but there is zero parental supervision in this whatsoever.
His parents and his dad's in most of the movies.
I know. So that's what we've got coming up.
Who knows what other?
Who knows? Yeah. So, thank all of you, everybody that contributed here. This was so much fun. We're so happy to now count you as friends. Yes, you're our friends now, whether you want to be or not. And
Lily, you got a spare couch or something?
We may call on you at some point in the future. I just at random, Of course, George and Dave might be vacationing together here before long. Family vacays and stuff.
Nothing is off the table, and everything's under it.
Speaking of which, I'll ask you after we're finished recording. Yeah, there's nothing ominous about that whatsoever. So everyone, thank you once again for spending a Saturday morning with us. I guess it's Saturday afternoon for Lily. And that was fun trying to figure out how far ahead are they? I can deal with 1 hour with the other two. And it's like, oh, we're dealing with 6 hours.
Yeah, there was a slide rule involved.
All right. So everybody, thank you very much. I am Alan Smith.
I'm Perry.
And I'm Big Dave.
Anybody else want to do a sign off?
I'm George, and join us at GenXGrownUp.
And I'm Al. Make sure that you tune into GenX Mixtape.
And I'm Lily from Soma GXP Society Owes Me a GenX podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
People talking about American dreams, 'cause that's all gone, ain't nothing left for me. see me coming, they say, hey, look at that slide.